Hey, Happy New Year. Happy 2009. It's a fantastic year. It's going to be an excellent year for all of us. Okay, so a couple of things happened that were fun. One last night, I thought I'd get anonymous and see if anybody wanted to go. The night before the Rose Parade, thousands of people camp out along Colorado Boulevard, right? And it's very fun to see. I saw a few years ago I went with a friend and saw it, and it was very, very fun. We didn't stay, but we went for an hour and just kind of hung out there. So one of my friends called me last night and said, "Yeah, let's go." So we went to dinner, and we're sitting talking, and apparently this person had helped decorate a couple of the floats, and so we were talking about that and what it's like to decorate a float. And so then I said, I wonder how they get the floats from Burbank, like the Burbank Float, to Pasadena. Because everyone who travels from Burbank to Pasadena, usually it's about a 15, 20-minute drive on the freeway going 60 miles an hour, right? And so we were like, how do they get these floats from Burbank to Pasadena? And the freeways go over these mountains, right? Or, very big hills and valleys and things like that. It's kind of it's a big leap, right? So we said, let's go see if we can see the float, right? And I knew where it was because I'd seen it on a TV show. So we drive down there, and all of a sudden, here's all these flashing police lights and everything. And we're like, oh, my God, it's the float, right? And so we decide we're going to follow it. We're going to be the float, right? And follow it from Burbank to Pasadena, which is kind of kooky. Most people probably wouldn't do it, but we had more fun. I mean, first of all, people all the way from Burbank to Pasadena, which it took them 2 hours to get there. They were driving 3 miles an hour. They had police people and other people following them, and people along the way waving and coming out and taking videos and things. It was very interesting to see. And the route they took was amazing. I mean, I've lived here for many, many years. I mean, over 20 years I've lived here. And I've never, and neither had she, ever seen some of these locations. We'd never been in them. I mean, it was just the most unusual route to get from Burbank through Glendale and all the way over down Colorado Boulevard and weaving over here and over there and all the way south and then around, and finally they end up in Pasadena. I mean, it was amazing. And every single intersection, the cops would all stop and stop all the cars so that the float could keep going all the way through. It was kind of amazing, really. And then we parked our car and went to the party. And the party was all time. I mean, people have everything from, just a guy sitting on a plastic chair, holding his spot for tomorrow, which was today, this morning, for the Rose Bowl, to people that had fires going, little fireplaces and things, people cooking. Some people had those blow-up beds, so they were all like snuggled in for the night. I mean, it was amazing to see. Sleeping bags, people drinking, partying. Cars would drive by where they'd spray painted them with all kinds of, the spray string stuff, and very funny. Just a fun atmosphere. Just people having a good time. So that was very fun. It was a fun way to bring in the new year. And we both had a very good time. And then also, a person calling themselves the Flag Informer called me today, and said, okay, here's the update on what they said. A, Miscavige made a slight appearance at the event and walked out, waved to the crowd, right? And she said he was in Clearwater to oversee basically the renovations of the Fort Harrison. I didn't know this, but apparently they're renovating the Fort Harrison, which will be open in March. So that's my personal announcement as the SP, that the Fort Harrison will be open in March. So Anonymous can head on over there for the grand opening. Anyway, so they're closed. They've been closed for months, she said. He was there to make sure all of the buildings were all the renovations were perfectly done. That's what she said, which I can imagine. What a nightmare. And they hire a lot of local construction people, so that's got to be a disaster to have, the dwarf show up, yelling at them and stuff. Okay, she also said at the event they announced that WISE, every single one of the companies that have ever been consulted by the World Institute of Scientology Enterprises, the stats were up. So, different people can check into it. You guys do some research, check into the different WISE companies and see if that's really true or not. It would be interesting to see. I highly doubt it. But because I know I look at the WISE company here, Survival Strategies, it used to be huge. And now it's this little tiny doorway, practically. They've sold most of the buildings. So that doesn't look like the stats are up. Craig Jensen sold his building, and it's moved out of Glendale. Now it's in some corner of Burbank called Diskeeper. He may be up because he's got that deal with Microsoft. But, you know, a bunch of them that I've seen, bunch of different companies seem much smaller than they used to be. So that statistic alone seems very, very suspect. And I always thought it was even when I was in. Because every New Year's Eve, it doesn't matter. Every year they say the stats are up. Even if there's less and less people, less and less this, they always are saying the statistics are up. You know, and it's like, yeah, sure. You know, you guys can go look at and see the completions and see that they've gone from hundreds of people down to like 4 or 5 people on certain levels. So that's not exactly an expansion. They also announced iHelp was booming. iHelp is in charge of the missions and things like that. And they said it was booming, that they were getting Dianetic auditors auditing in all these remote places, which is always part of their huge success, is always some place you've never even heard of. And it's like, okay, that's great. She said, Mr. Miscavige, quote, in midget glory is here giving hell to the contractors. But that's a quote from this person. And also, young people that have joined the Sea Org, this was interesting. She said, who are under 18 are now very excited because they're going to be able to actually work in a hotel. I don't know anything about that, so that's another thing to look into, because they used to never have children under 18. I mean, they did years ago, but then they have had this big, you know, no children, no kids. But I don't know what this is. Maybe they've now lifted that and they're going to have kids under 18. So that's a thing to keep your eyes out for, too. And, oh, yeah, and she said they'll be excited to be cleaning toilets and polishing brass. And she said, okay, bye. That was it. So thank you very much for that information. I appreciate it, because I've been wondering. I also, someone on my YouTube site, thank you, posted that Peter Letteries is actually suing DM. And so we're wondering if, you know, he's trying to, like, lay low. Because just like Hubbard never wanted to be brought into deposition, right? So he was hiding from people all the time once they were trying to sue him. So I'm wondering if DM, if that's another one of his routines. But anyway, that's the yearly update starting January 1st, 2009. And we will see. My prediction is this is going to be an excellent year for the critics, anonymous, SPs, ex-Scientologists, ex-staff, you know, people that have left Scientology, and people in Scientology. I think a lot more people are going to come out and have fun, because we are having a good time out here. It is way better than being inside of there. And, you know, you don't have to be wrong. Just because you stayed for a long time. I stayed for a long time, too. I stayed for 30 years. But you know what? I'm having a great time. And so is everybody else I know. They're very, very happy they're out. I don't know anyone that's left that goes, darn, I wish we were back in Scientology. I mean, truly and honestly, watch The Truman Show if you have any questions about it. That is very similar to Scientology. And that's my New Year's update. So I wish you all a happy New Year. I hope it started out good for each of you. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.